live with everybody on Facebook? I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Kitchens?
Let them share their story a little bit, and then I know it'll be some rapid
Mm-hmm.
fire with some questions that you've got lined up for them, and then we'll just highlight some of the key points. I'll interject. I've got a little perspective and insight on them and their business, and I think it'll be really valuable for everybody tuning in.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for spending some time with us. And I think today, like to start things off, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm setting the scene for everybody. You're located in Apoca, Florida, which is kind of Orlando-ish area. Am I right there?
Right, it's in the Orlando metropolitan area, just north of Orlando.
Okay, so set the scene for us on kind of what the market looks like there, any demographics that are unique to you. I'm sure there are, and just kind of give us an idea of what the market's like.
Sure. I mean, the market obviously here is still strong. I mean, there's so many people relocating and moving to the Central Florida area. Growth-wise, inventory levels are still relatively low. We've seen price appreciation. Really here, the bottom of the barrel was 2010, so we saw price appreciation since then on a pretty consistent basis. And we're starting to see things level off, though, some of those higher price points. We're starting to notice days on market going up, some more expireds and things of that nature that we haven't seen, and even some of our own listings staying out there a little bit longer than they were previously, and maybe having to get one or two reductions to move some things. But anything under the median price here is about 250,000. Anything below that price point, those are still moving. Inventory levels in some neighborhoods are still around a 1 month supply. So all in all, it's a good market all the way around, still strong. But definitely starting to see a little bit of winds of change. So no question about it.
So, and you guys are husband and wife team.
Right.
That's correct. Last we checked.
Business is good. Business is going good. So where are you both from? Are you both from the area? Are you transplants?
We're not. We moved here from Denver, Colorado back in 2001. I'm originally from Texas, and Matt's a Jersey boy, but we met in Colorado and moved down here with Lucent Technologies at the time.
It's no longer in business.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Freda factor, okay? I didn't put them out.
So it'll be 17 years this September, and out of those 17 years, almost 15 years of it, we've been in real estate.
So that brings up the question of, it seems like you guys had a technology background likely. And so what led from that into you guys starting your real estate business?
Sure. So, I mean, the backstory really is I was at Lucent Technologies, like Jen said. I was sitting in my cubicle reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad really was the kickoff, and looking at all those different quadrants. And obviously I was in the first quadrant, employee, Jen and I both were, and saying to myself, now how do I get to I? I is where I wanted to go, investor, right? Have your money work for you so you're not working for your money. So I was reading that book and got the opportunity to come to Orlando through Lucent. But when we got here, it was before the last boom, and we just noticed, the growth, the construction, everything that was going on, people moving, and real estate was something that we both gravitated towards, but not from the brokerage side or the sales side. We wanted to be investors. We never really had aspirations of getting our real estate licenses and opening a brokerage. When we came here, we went to the Winter Park has an investors club. So we went there, and that night there was two individuals speaking, and the topic was short sales. And never heard the term short sales, you know,
That's a bad word.
about short
I don't
sales.
think anyone had heard that term at that point. It was early on.
So they were talking about short sales though from the perspective of investing and helping people out that were in a pre-foreclosure situation and coming in as an investor and potentially buying those properties. And that's what, you know, we hounded those two people for. Actually, you know what? They were selling a course that night, and I'll never forget. The course was like $800, and I was like looking at her like, 800? What? This is no way. How can we do this? And she's like, just do it. You'll kick yourself if you don't. So we bought the course, we read it, and then I hounded these people for like 3 weeks because I wanted to like take them out to dinner. I wanted to pick their brain, just learn more about this concept. And finally, they relented, and then they allowed us to take them to dinner, and you know, sparked up a partnership with them, and started doing some investment deals on the short sale side. And then we kind of broke off at that point, got our licenses, and we thought, you know what, we could actually do a better job helping these people through the brokerage side of the business. And that's what led us into real estate, really, from a standpoint of getting into that distressed sales market is kind of what led us further and further into real estate. And then at the time, we had bought a short-term rental property. Well, these are properties down by Disney World that you can rent out on a nightly or weekly basis for the tourists. And we started just, you know, through a lot of sweat equity running that place, and started working for a small company. Again, this is starting to see a pattern, no longer exists. Well, don't laugh.
Freda Factory.
It was called Cinderella's Other Castles. That was the name of the company. And that's where we hung our license for the first year. And after that first year in Florida, you know, it's pretty easy to get a broker's license. And we got our broker's license, said, you know what, man, we can do this on our own. We don't need anybody's help, basically. So we worked for someone for 1 year and then went out on our own and started Freda Realty.
The rest is history, yeah. And then came the whole recession, and everyone was a minimum of $100,000 upside down in their mortgages. And at that time, there was no loan modifications. There was no attorneys or anyone else doing short sales. So we were able to help. How many people was it that year?
So 2008, when a lot of agents were getting out of the business, I think we closed 48 transactions that year. We grossed over 200 in GCI, and just basically working out of our garage. And it was that we literally sent these people one letter, one mailer, and just, you know, with an outline of how we could potentially help them. And that's all we did. And that was our one marketing pillar. And we did everything. I mean, we marketed to them, we followed up, we did the listings, and we did all the short sale work. So, I mean, at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes we're sitting in our garage faxing like short sale packets over, because that was the only time the fax lines were open. Because if you waited till like 11 or 12 or 1 during normal business hours, everyone else was trying to fax their short sale packets in. So it was crazy, but I do remember like enjoying it and being like, you know, I could do this forever. This is great. You know, I'm like working from home, making decent money. Our expenses are super low, so profit first, and then everything's changed again.
And I think that's the moral to our story here, is that you always have to be coachable, adaptable. Like Matt has been telling you, like we've just, everywhere we've gone, we've absorbed and tried to learn everything we could, and we moved on and took it with us to the next thing that we grew with. And that we were only able to do those short sales because we had been part of the investor group.
And then the short sales segued into, we were making contacts with banks and servicing companies, and I was looking people up on the MLS. I'm like, how does this, you know, girl or guy have like 40 REO listings? I'm like, how does that happen, right? So they said, oh, you got to go do BPOs. So I'm like, well, what's a BPO? Like broker price opinion. All right. So I went on the internet, Googled broker price opinion, and I got a spreadsheet of like 350 companies that we signed up for every one to do BPOs. Next thing you know, we're getting tons of BPO orders, like $35, $45, $80. We're running around literally all over Central Florida, every county you can imagine, doing BPOs, because I'm thinking, we're going to get REOs. We didn't realize that not every BPO company gives you listings. It's only a select few. So we had to kind of like dwindle that whole side of the business down. And then we finally got on with some asset management companies that actually did give us REO listings. And that's what took us into the REO world, leading up to like 2012 or 11 when we met John and Jay and Mike. And that was our first NAEA conference that we went to out in Phoenix, Arizona. So
while we were there at that conference, we got a text message from our asset management company that was giving us Fannie Mae listings saying Fannie Mae is firing all asset management companies. They're going direct to brokers. I put my application in 2 years prior and just thought it was done. It was gone. So we were like, okay, we got to push their chips all into the middle. We signed up with you guys.
That was when we were like, we're all in on coaching.
Yeah.
We're like, this is a sign. They're firing us.
So we got our tear sheet. We're ready to do this traditional push and move out of distressed sales. And then shortly after that, we got our office building, our first assistant, and Fannie Mae calls.
Well, so check this out. We had 2,000 square feet. It was me, Jen, and a personal assistant. And we're all sitting like around the conference table looking at each other. We're like, all right, now what do we do? And we couldn't write this. I mean, and Fannie Mae calls out of the blue and says, hey, we're interviewing agents to be direct brokers with us. Are you guys interested? And we're like, first Jen was like, who is this? Who's punking us? Because you can't, it's easier to call the president of the United States than it is to call Fannie Mae. Man. It's so hard to get in touch with these people. So they're like, well, fill out the application. We did the application. Jen sent in the marketing pieces that we got from NAEA, like the tear sheet, and we sent all that information in. And I'll never forget when we were on the interview, we had an interview conference call. The first thing one of the asset managers said to us, he goes, oh, so you guys are on the cover of magazines, huh? So, I mean, it wasn't, it was just a talking point, and obviously it differentiated ourselves in their eyes to a certain degree. And then further on down the road, they're like, okay, so can you handle 10 listings a week? And we're like, yeah, sure. I mean, before that, we did 28 REOs the previous year. And they said, can you handle 10 a week? And we're like, yeah, not thinking they were serious, but they were, man. And the floodgates opened. They started. I mean, it was like we were getting like 10 assignments a week, man.
Yeah.
That stuff.
Back up a little bit here because, I think it's important to break down your guys' dynamic, right? And, different personalities and skills and where you guys are the best at, because I know there's people tuning in that are husband and wife teams and, just trying to figure out how to navigate those waters based upon those dynamics. And so, we get into the business from an investment side through short sales, right? Like nobody does that, right? It's just, they just don't do that. And they don't do that anymore, obviously. But then even going the REO route, and talk to how you guys play well to your strengths. And then also, how that dynamic works, and then how you guys made that work when we transitioned, because there's some key takeaways that I want to pull out of here for everybody listening in, when they're trying to navigate the waters, working with their significant other and spouse.
I mean, I think it just kind of happened naturally. Matt went into the operation. I mean,
we'll look at our disc assessment.
Well, I was going to say that the production side of things, he was doing the BPOs, the evaluations. He was kind of the boots on the ground. I took over operations, doing the accounting and all of the inner office work. And then I remember when we first were introduced to the disc assessment through NAEA, they were spot on. I mean, he's like DIMSC. Like together we make one disc assessment.
We are the disc.
You are the disc.
So I got to confirm that we're in the right places, the right areas. And we just kind of embraced that and went with it. And it's worked well for us even today.
Yeah.
It's just this year.
It's the whole divide and conquer, right? That's what I always talk about, that you've got to divide and conquer, but you've got to get into your lane, whatever your strength is, right? So we know where Matt's strength is, and just get in his lane, let him run. And same thing with you, Jen, right? Get in your lane and run. And I would say, even if you had, two DIs, I would say, get in the lane. Maybe both of you need to be in production. Maybe we need to make a hire on the administrative side. like for you, it works well, right? You guys, like you said, you're the whole disc. You cover it all. So I think that's just a key takeaway for everybody listening in to understand. How do you make it work, and don't force it, right? Get in your lane where your strength is. That allows you guys to run and run a lot faster.
Not to say that we don't cross over, because we do. But
sure, you have to.
Yeah. Get in your lane.
But
do that to me.
You know, but even now, like obviously now we're more traditional real estate. I mean, we just went on a listing presentation together, and it was a good vibe. Like it worked well. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there was a husband and wife on the other side of the table, and the dynamic worked really, really well. So we're starting to see, even though it's not really a crossover of lanes, but you know, Jen's good at everything. I'm just being honest. You know, she can do sales, she can do anything. You know, she really can. And
I paid him to say that.
Good job, Matt.
So it's been working. You know, don't get me wrong. We have our ups and downs. We have our challenges, just like everybody else.
Right.
But you know, we're still married, and 15 years later, and 2 great kids. So
that's right, absolutely. So take us back, Jeff. Is there anything you want to interject? I want to bring them back to the REO moments, because there's some key lessons from there, and then as kind of transition.
Yeah, so I think it is interesting that you ended up you provided a solution to the marketplace that you uniquely were able to provide because of the experience in the non-traditional route that you took, right? As an investor, like when you sat down with the homeowner who was underwater and no other agent knew how to navigate that situation or how to get them to an end result, you guys had a unique experience to be able to do that. So that's why you got all of them and nobody else had any. They had no, and you, instead of trying to sell houses, you were providing a solution to the marketplace. And sometimes the solution is different. Like it's, you know, it's not just about the tangible assets. So that's interesting. And then, so leading into that, but eventually, like we talked about, those properties and opportunities dried out. And so you have to kind of then start building your business through traditional means. And my question was going to be, you know, what were some of the biggest struggles that you remember, and Kitchens, you were there alongside of them? What were some of the biggest struggles that you guys had to overcome kind of transitioning to a more traditional model?
It was tough, and it still is. It wasn't an easy transition for us because we were so ingrained in that world for so long. I mean, we literally did our first distressed sale in 2007. We did our last distressed sale first quarter of 2018. So we were in that market space for a really long time, and building up this is where John helped us out tremendously, was building up the operations side of our office, just to be able to handle that type of volume, because everyone thinks, you know, REO, you're an order taker and blah, 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 and you get listings. But I tell you, man, there is so much work that goes into that world, and you know, you really have to have your ducks in a row if you're going to do it at a high level. And it's not just the operation side, but the financial side. I mean, because when you're carrying all those assets, you know, from the time you get an assignment to the time something closes, it could potentially be 6 months down the road, because, you know, a lot of these properties, they want to clean them up, they want to do this. Sometimes there's title issues, and who's paying the utilities on all those properties? We are, you know, so that's a cash outlay that you have to be able to bankroll for a prolonged period of time. And not only that, Jen, on the operations and accounting side, you got to track all that stuff, man. And if you don't track it properly, they do not reimburse you. They say, hey, it is what it is. You didn't submit the right paperwork at the right time. So it's a whole nother world for anyone listening or watching that, you know, potentially, because everything's cyclical, right? I don't know if it'll come back the way it was, especially here in Florida, because there were so many, we call it the perfect storm of real estate, all those factors that happened to create as many foreclosures as they did. But will we see some of those start to trickle back into the marketplace? No doubt about it.
Sure.
Because record mortgages, record foreclosures, it just goes hand in hand. So
I guess when I think about that time, I remember us always using the analogy of, it was like drinking from a fire hose, because it just all day, every day was stuff just being just poured on us, whether it be from Fannie or from buyers or our own team that we were trying to hire and train and manage, or like Matt said, the financial side. There was just so many different pieces. John can probably,
yeah, no,
I don't.
I mean, I remember I think I was actually in Austin. I remember talking to you guys one time, thinking through it. I was actually in Austin at an event, and I don't know why I remember this. Maybe I only talked to you guys while I was there, but I remember talking through it, and we were talking about making some decisions on some key hires. And one of the things in getting crystal clear on roles and responsibilities, right? Who's going to handle this? Where is the handoff exactly? Because just like you said, if you do not have your systems and processes dialed in at that level with that amount of workload, you will go bankrupt. Just like Matt said, is that you're going to take on all of those expenses. And if you don't have the right papers in the right order, facts to the right number at the right time, and stand on one leg and hold your breath, you're not going to get reimbursed. Right. And so your systems have to be bulletproof. And I kudos to Jen, because they wouldn't have been able to play that game as long as they were able to play it if their systems and processes weren't dialed in. And it is absolutely critical. And I think that has helped you guys tremendously transition into whatever it is that we want to transition to. As like Matt was saying, the market continues to fluctuate. It's going to happen again. But here's the advantage that Matt and Jen have over almost everybody, is they've got bulletproof systems and processes, period. It'll serve them, right? They can play any game. And so what we're starting to see is that you will be out of business if it's a table stake, right? What is that? What Michael Reese loves to call it is that, to even play the game, you've got to have systems and processes. And so that's where they are at a unique advantage to do whatever the heck they want to do and play whatever game they want to play, is because that's in place. And I think that made you guys so strong going through that for that period of time, that it's easy for you guys to kind of sit back and figure out and then go implement.
Well, it taught us so much, and we learned so much. And you're right, it takes the fear out of the changing market, because we know we can adapt in any situation. But it also has taught us, what we don't want to build going forward from a team perspective. And because we went through those trials and tribulations of hiring and firing, and, now that we're back on the traditional side, man, we're enjoying things more than we ever have, because, just being honest, man, we would drive into the parking lot of our own office, which we created, this monster, and we would sometimes drive right out. We would go in the parking lot.
I think I might be guilty of that a couple times.
We would see certain agent cars where it's like, we can't deal with it, just keep going.
I'm like, call John. I don't know, what are we doing? Man?
Get on the phone. What are we doing? Man, I think you did call me once when we were doing that. We were looking at another office location too. I remember.
I'm like, oh man, what are we building here, man? It's like we got out of corporate. We didn't want to go back to corporate, man. And that's what I felt like we had built. And we, going through the whole market change and the fluctuation and to where we are at now, it's like, I don't want to say back to basics, because obviously we have 15 years of experience under our belt, but which gives us a competitive advantage when, we're sitting down at the listing table or whatever we're doing, because we've surrounded ourselves with people like John and this whole world. So, but at the same time, it was a place where we were like, we don't want to go back to that world. We want to build something new, you know what I mean? And kind of set the sail, like Jim Rohn would say, set the sail for a different course at this point. So.
Yeah.
We still use all the same tools, all the same goal setting tools and smarting them out. I remember you just had to it was like pulling teeth to get us to do it the first time, but we still use all those same documents and systems. It's for no matter what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great lesson, right? It's not one and done and shove it in the drawer. It's rinse and repeat, and constantly getting clear on, what's the goal? What is it that we're setting the course for to help us close the gap, right? We know we're here, we're trying to get here. What are we doing to get us to that point to close that gap? And why the heck do we even want to do it, right? That's even the question is, okay, so this is what we could do. This is why we want to do it. We're going to do it by this time. And then we get to figure out how we want to do it. That's the process. And
just make, you look at like outside influences, right? And you see everything on social media. You see all these people, they're doing this, and they're building huge teams, and their faces are on billboards and all this stuff. And you feel like if you don't get to that level, you're not successful. You know what I mean? That's the mindset that, you know, we were going through a little bit as we were growing the team and building and trying to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. But, you know, I got away from those garage days of profitability, man, where, you know what, it's great, but our profit margins were going down and down and down, and instead of going the other direction. So that's where, you know, recently Profit First, you know, we had talked about that book and just getting back.
I got a podcast I'm sending your way. Sending your way.
I've been waiting for that. But, you know, trying to get back to that world to a certain degree, you know what I mean? And we got away from it, and helping people like Jeff was saying in the beginning. Like when you're sitting down and you can help someone or stop a foreclosure or give them like tangible advice when they at that moment in time had no other place to go or no didn't think they had any options other than the foreclosure. I mean, our byproduct is selling houses, but at the end of the day, you're helping people, man. And that's what you got to remember. You can't lose sight of, you know, we're helping buyers, we're helping sellers, we're helping people. And the byproduct is them buying or selling a home. So.
Yeah.
So
about EXP and moving over there is that we can focus on helping people again, and it's shown. I mean, our numbers, we get most of our leads now from repeat customers, referral business, our sphere of influence, because we're in it again. Like we care, and it shows. And you know, it's all coming back around to us.
It's like you think, oh, you got to get out of the sales side to be successful in real estate, but it just depends on what you want, man. It comes down to you as the individual or the team, the husband and wife, or whatever you're trying to build. There is no exact model for everybody. You know what I mean? And I think we were pigeonholing ourselves into thinking that there was, but making the transition back into traditional has kind of opened our eyes up again to there is other possibilities, other ways of doing things and being profitable and helping people. So,
you know, it's powerful what you just shared right there, right? I mean, you got to be happy, right? It's all about your happiness and what it is that you want to do, right? It's your agenda. It's your creative world. It's not some reported world that you've got to follow and do whatever, right? You've got to design it however it is that you want, right? And what's important to you. And it's important for you guys to be close together, working together, spending time with family, doing those things and designing it that way. And, you know, there's, you know, Clayton math. And this is the challenge, right? Because, you know, we're not the world's best at trying to recruit and hire people into our businesses. So we end up usually settling because we hire out of pain instead of making those hires and moves out of gain. And we end up getting B and C players, right? And Clayton Mask, man, he hit us right between the eyes when we were working with Clay at Infusionsoft and in their mastermind. He said B players are the people who you spend time with instead of your family. And, you know, you guys experienced that, right? And so you draw a line in the sand. You say, no, this is non-negotiable. And so I love that you guys, and that's the thing, right? It's like, there's all kinds of different models. There's all kinds of different ways to do it, to monetize the opportunity within real estate. But you have to just decide what it is that you want, right? What's important to you?
Right. It's all good, but you have to take the bits and pieces that fit your goals and plug them into your business, not in your life.
Exactly. Jeff, I know you had some other questions. I know you're chomping at the bit.
No, it's just you guys all cover it. We're connected here on the same thing. So I was thinking the same thing. Matter of fact, just because it's relevant, because I just listened to it, I was listening to, again, that book Influence, and it talks about how, you know, 80% of the people are just followers and only 20% are initiators. And most people, so it's just, I'm following that guy who's on the billboard, I'm following that person who's doing this number of units or whatever, just because I'm following, and that's my definite. I've never stopped to think about, is that really like, you know, am I enjoying that, or am I showing up to the office wanting to turn my car around? You know, and most people aren't even self-aware probably, because the fact is that 80% are always just going to be following somebody else's vision. So you guys, differentiated yourself by just being aware and then taking action. And so that was going to lead me to, we kind of talked a little bit about some of the moves that you've made, but tell us a little bit more about the recent moves that you made and what business looks like today. Obviously, you guys are happy and you're loving business today, but give us an idea, kind of what that looks like. I know you guys made the switch to join the family at EXP, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Jay did a Facebook Live, I want to say end of 2017, and started talking about EXP. We never heard of EXP before Jay, and as soon as he got done, I called John and I said, "Hey, John, what's going on? What are you guys doing? What's EXP?" He goes, "Just sit tight. We're gonna have some more announcements and blah blah blah." So next thing you know, we get the video. Of course, we get the video. We watch the video. And
I
watched
it. We watched it.
And then I said, and then Jen, I'm like in bed with him, like, "Jen, watch this."
What am I missing? What's wrong with this?
Right. And it's so true because you guys say it all the time, but we were at that place, man, where it was the timing of it all couldn't have been more perfect for us because of everything that we went through, like our experience over the last 14 years, before we saw EXP.
Now, were you guys at a little bit of a like, man, almost, kind of at a burnout, kind of like, man, I'm just this sucks, right? I'm at a level 1 of 10. Like, man, we might think about doing something else. We wouldn't do anything else, but we're thinking about something else.
Resume.
I remember it a little different. He actually was on Indeed putting his resume out there on LinkedIn, and he had seen EXP a couple of times, of the job postings, I guess, that were out there.
Yeah. What was it? And just to give some context for everybody listening in, because, I think this is going to resonate with people. And it's not necessarily you make the move to EXP, but it's finding something that's going to allow you to make a transition to where you're happier into a model that really works for you and what you want to accomplish. So paint the picture, right? We had some team members. We were still doing some REOs. Like, was there office space? I can't remember. Were we office space?
Yeah. We still had
office space.
All the systems, all the expenses, our monthly nut was huge. So all of that was still going on. And like you said, I was running out of 1, man. I mean, I was just like going through the motions, It's just like I got away from the fact that we're helping people, you know what I mean? I got away from that, and I just was like, another deal, you know what I mean? And I tell you the other thing, John, I got away from plugging into plugging into all of the tools and systems and resources, and plugging into listening to podcasts in my car, and I think it's ego, and I never thought I had an ego, man, but after picking up on some of after looking inward a little bit and saying, even Jen could tell, like, well, she's like, "What are you listening to?" Or, and because my attitude, everything changed, man. And I was like,
great takeaway. And
I say to myself, I've heard the same old shit over and over and over again. I've heard that message, blah, blah, blah. And John's been telling me the same thing for the last 4 years or whatever. It's like, and I sometimes
we really thought you were going to stop taking our calls because it was like the same conversation every time.
And I said, "How does John do it, man? How does he talk about this stuff over and over and over again?" But you have to stay engaged. You have to stay plugged in. You have to, continue to read the books, even if you read them again. And you think when you get away, you don't notice it until you get away from it, and then all of a sudden you start to realize, man, my habits are changing, my attitude's changing, and it affects everything. It affects your personal life, it affects your kids. It's a trickle-down effect, man.
Yeah. And
that's where we were running, or that's where I was running. I mean, Jen's always very even-keeled, thankfully. But that's where I was running. I was like, what else can I do, man? I got this, I got sold all these homes, and then you start to realize, like, even, I got an MBA, but like, wait a minute, what's the starting salary? Like, when you go on the job market, like, man, even if there is opportunity, you got to start thinking, like, all that we did, all that we've done, all the experience, now we're in a place where we truly can differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. We can go in and win listings, you know what I mean? Because of all the skill set and knowledge that we have. So going back to your question, yeah, I mean, I was, running at that 1, and Jay pops up on the screen. We start watching that, and we get the video, and we watch it and send it to her, Jen. And I'm just like, what are we missing, man? And what are we missing? And then I think we talked to you, but it took me 6 months to really wrap my brain around closing, not being a broker anymore. But the more and more and more I thought about it, I'm like,
letting go.
Yeah, man. Like, what are we holding on to here, man? Like EXP, because all the other models, we were approached by, Century 21. We were approached by other companies that wanted to come in, offer us money to switch over from it being, but we never saw the value in it. Like, why? Just because you're gonna give me X amount of dollars, now I got to put a Century sign on my door? For what? What do we get? How are we going to help train agents, right? How are we going to make them better? What more is involved in this? And there was never an answer. So it was like,
I mean, it wasn't a solution to get you guys back happy and remember why you got into the brokerage side of the business anyways, right? To impact and help people. And I think that's what a lot of people miss is that, they look at these things and they grab onto them, but is it really helping them accomplish whatever it is that they're wanting to accomplish?
Right.
Sustainability. Sustainability. It's funny. I got a buddy of mine I was talking to just the other day. He's been in the car business forever, but he's been in and out of it. He actually got his real estate license and then didn't put in the work. Oh, geez, in like 4 months, nothing has happened. Oh, whatever. And so he's gone back to the car business, and he works for Park Place, one of the large dealerships that's here. So the other day, and this guy's 47. And he's telling me, no, Jeff, man, things are going pretty good. I'm going to go to Austin and I'm going to open this store there. And, my 10, 15 year plan is that then I'll be running a dealership. I said, what? In 15 years, dude? In 15 years? What does it require to run a dealership? Oh, well, it's going to be this. And I said, so you're 47. So you mean at like 55, you want to be working 82 hours a week or 100 hours a week running a dealership? Like, is that really getting you where you want to go? Because I would rather be able to wake up on a beach and decide what I want to do today, if I wanted to do anything, or focus on where I wanted to invest my energy. Wouldn't that be the end result? Or do you really just love pounding a car lot that much, And that's it's not sustainable. Just like had you gone to Century 21, maybe for the first 6 months, a year, it's like fun, change and everything, but you're going to end up in the right place if it ain't serving the right purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, it took me 6 months to make the move. Jen was still, once we decided to make the move, it took Jen longer because she had to close out Freda, start dropping systems, things that we were paying for, things that weren't really working, but we were just shelling money out because that's what we always did. And just really starting to rethink, the direction of where we wanted to go. And I mean, EXP, that's a show in itself, man. I mean, all of what EXP has to offer, especially in the position we were in, solved so many of the problems that we were experiencing. Especially, one of them was training agents, and we were small independent, so we literally did put blood, sweat, and tears and bring in training agents and paying for leads and resources. And I don't even think those agents even understand or comprehend the amount of time, effort, and energy that goes into building your own training plan, coming out and meeting with guys like you and sitting down and the time, effort, and energy that goes into that whole world and building this thing. And then you're trying to you're giving them all this information, which it's not just the money part of things. And then, 4 or 5 months later, they're out or they're doing something else, or they're doing well. And because our splits are a little different, they're going to 100%er, you know what I mean? So there was just so much of that was just wearing us down. So obviously one of the decisions, when we looked at everything that EXPS offered, the training, we're mentors now with the company. So when we bring agents into our organization, they have a step-by-step process already outlined to come in, you know what I mean? And all of the resources and materials and things that we've accumulated over the years, we can share all that with them. So, and it's awesome because we know the good ones get it, man. They don't, you can't teach motivation, man. I mean, you can get up on a chair and rah, and, it's great. But then when you go home, you go right back to your same habits. You gotta build that yourself, man. So the tools, the resources, all that's available to them. And the good ones, they learn it and they go. And, a couple transactions and they start going. And of course, they pick up the phone, they have a question or a text. that's the beauty of it. We're here now to help. We're not going anywhere. But the retention with EXP is so much higher because there's so many other things that they offer that we can offer. And being people of integrity, honestly, this is just from the truth. Like once we saw something better, there's like, how can we promote our own brokerage over knowing that there's a better model out there for agents, for everybody? I mean,
yeah, I love that. And it's come up a couple times in conversations that, you know, and I don't want to get on the EXP bandwagon, but if you really care about your people, right? If you say, man, I really care about my people and what's best for them, then you owe it to yourself to look at it. But I think the biggest thing that it was for you guys is it gave you like, okay, you know, you appreciate it because you guys have built it. And I think a lot of people that haven't built it, that are just in the business or whatever, they don't really understand or appreciate it as much, because you guys have the trials and tribulations and the sleepless nights and how in the hell we're going to make payroll, and, you know, hey, we got to get this training up. How's that going to go down? And it's just like we've always said, man, there's just a better way. And I think, you know, for you guys to even be open and constantly in pursuit and looking for that, that just tells the whole story, right? Short sales, maybe a little bit better way. We get into REOs. Hey, where we're solving that need. And then I think you guys are solving a need for yourselves. I mean, you guys are night and day. When we first, when you gave me that call, tell me a little bit more about this, you know, what's going on with EXP. I mean, you guys have transformed. I mean, geez. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, you guys are back on the personal growth, focusing on getting better each and every day, and it's starting to carry over. And what a great lesson that you guys are teaching the kiddos.
Yeah, awesome. So our 10-year-old like tells us all the time, you know, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you gonna say? Like, and then I think she's Darren Hardy's like youngest Darren Daly fan. She still listens to it every day, and she quizzes us on it. I mean, I just think what an advantage these kids have to be able to hear that and see people living it. And it has changed us physically, emotionally, and professionally as well, because now we can focus on what our number one goal is, and that's helping people, whether that be buyers and sellers or even other agents, and we can help them at the highest level possible. So yeah. It's a win-win for all of us.
Let's talk day to day. I know we want to give some tangible items. I know, Jeff, just kind of what do we definitely want to look at, kind of what's working well right now. I mean, share your guys' kind of day structure. I mean, you have some personal commitments that you guys are keeping. I think, you've mentioned integrity a couple times, but I think it's the personal integrity, right? It's keeping the promises to yourselves that I see that you guys are really focusing on more now than ever before. But give us a rundown of the day to day. Share that, what that looks like, and what's working and what's not working for you guys in the business.
Sure. So when we first got into the business, I went to a Mike Ferry event, right? And they were taking people across the stage, GCI 750, GCI 800, 500, right? Like, woo! And like, what do you do? I get up, I make calls from 8:30 to 11:30. And what do you do? I make calls from 7:30 to 11:30. What do you do? I make calls from 8:30. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, I signed up with the Red X, and then 2 months later, I'm doing BPOs, right? So I was like,
hey, now I want to preface this with everything, and I want everybody to get this because this is hard. And what REO does make you reactive. You're not necessarily like an order taker, but it makes you 100% reactive because you're waiting for that ding, and then the system
like
and process.
Dog, baby.
That is a deep rut, very deep rut to climb out of, for sure.
So hard. You guys could touch on that a little bit because you've had to climb out of that. And Matt, being transparent, it's still a constant. It's something that we've got to commit to, right? We got to recommit to stay out of that, because in anything that we've ever done, we get conditioned to. And so that's what I always say with REO. When they go to the REO route, I always like, you're going to condition yourself to be reactive. You have to do everything you can to stay proactive with it. And then you've got to stay proactive in other areas of your life to not fall to that condition to where you just become reactive and you lose the ability to create. You lose the ability to get things done and take action. So, I mean, you guys can touch on that a little bit. I think that's so powerful of a lesson for everybody to tap into.
We really almost like built a wall around ourselves. We almost became those Fannie Mae.
Right. No one can get in touch with us. Like our numbers were not published anywhere. Like, no joke. Like, you know, even in the MLS, like you cannot reach us. Like you were going to talk to someone else before you were going to talk to us. And
it was like the Oz, right? We were behind that curtain, and we were back here working. We were working our tails off, but we weren't out. He wasn't prospecting. He wasn't making those outbound dials. I wasn't communicating. I wasn't out there building relationships and finding vendors. We were just processing. So whenever that all came to an end, it was like I said, it was a deep breath that we had to climb out of. Matt just, consistency. I think that's our biggest struggle right now is consistency in action. We know what we need to do. John tells us all the time, reminds us, but just make it like just overcoming those natural habits or natural tendencies of going back into that reactive world day after day.
So we were, man, like Jen was saying, we were like those incognito agents. Like no one knew what we did. You know, we were real estate agents. We were selling tons of homes, but it wasn't like we were like putting ourselves out there in our own community. You know what I mean? And just that whole putting up those walls, and then when those walls crumbled down, it was like having to rebuild from there. It took some, and it still is. I mean, this is something.
So what are a couple tangible things that you guys focus on, think about, do that have helped come out of that?
So, you know, going back to Jim Rohn, is, you know, the fundamentals of business never change, right? There's always that 3, 4, 5 things that essentially stay the same, even as technology changes and all these other things and all these shiny objects and all this stuff that I bought over the years. And this, you know what, man, it goes back to just asking for business, man. And so that's what I'm back to. I'm back to the Red X again. And
yeah, buddy. That's it.
I'm calling expires. I'm calling for sale by owners.
Jeff all fired up.
I'm calling pre-foreclosures, man. And, you know, and obviously now our sphere of influence has been a tremendous, because once people started realizing, you know, we do sell homes, and Jen's been instrumental in taking the proactive stuff of generating those, because we know we want to list, right? List to last. That's not going to change. That's primarily where we want to be. And we're going back after those listings again. But taking the proactive stuff, which is making the dials, making the contact, getting the listings, and then Jen taking that stuff and getting it all over social media and getting it out to people that know, like, and trust us, not really paying for anything, you know, getting away from all that pay per click stuff and pay for this and pay for that. Just trying to do it this time more organically and always keeping profit first. So going back to making those dials, man, and it's more enjoyable now. And then making those calls to sphere of influence now that we have past clients, you know what I mean, other than, you know, Fannie Mae or Adopt a Buyer who never worked with us in the first place, so they don't really know us. Calling those people that bought through us. And then all of a sudden, especially this year, you know, over 50% of our business has come from referrals, man. And people are just like, hey, call Matt and Jen, or, you know, getting text. Just yesterday, we got a text message that, hey, call these guys, you know, good agent there. So it's coming from all different angles. To answer your question, spokes on the wheel, new expireds, old expireds, for sale by owners, pre-foreclosures, open houses every Saturday from 12 to 4, and we do one in every different listing that we have. Past client sphere of influence, and that's where primarily our traditional business is going right now.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Go ahead, Jeff.
So, you know, one thing I love to always say is that positive action creates positive consequences, and you just have to have faith. Like, it builds invisible. You know, just like going to you guys are running, you guys are a part of, you know, committed, and we're going to make it public because everybody sticks with their public commitments. They're on the 90-day Darren Hardy Run Challenge. And
even run.
And so, you know, like, but it doesn't happen on day one. If you said, well, I'm going to be 90 days in and here are the changes that are going to be happening in 90 days, like there's no way to see forward. You just do it every day without seeing any results. And then eventually you look up and you're like, damn, look what happened. And one of those key things that always has to take place is prospecting. And it's not always like, it has to be expireds and for sale by owners. If there's opportunity that exists in those categories, then you have to get whatever opportunities exist. For some people, it's maybe a little bit. For some people, it's a lot. But you got to scrape that opportunity off and mix it with all the other channels. But the one key metric is conversations, right? The more conversations that I can have a day spreading the value and asking people to do business with me, if I just did that every day, just made sure like I asked 50 people for a chance to sit down, if I shared our value and our core values as a company with 50 vendors a day, whatever it was, you'd look up and be like, oh my God. And so if anything, just concentrate on that one, like as many of those conversations as you have all day, or as you can all day.
Yeah. And I mean, behind us, like our board, I mean, our combined GCR through buyers and sellers right now with our pipe and deals that we've signed just through the end of this year is already as 130 grand from now until, December. So it works, man. It works.
And that's what I mean. That positive momentum, the referrals. Hey, we don't know why, but I can tell you this much. When we do the things that we're supposed to do, other stuff just happens. And we can't,
And I try not to think back to, because everything happens for a reason. You look back sometimes in your career, whatever you're doing, and you think the road is going to go this way, but it really goes like all over the place sometimes. And sometimes I think back, I'm like, wow, man, if I would have just started these dials 14 years ago, where we would be. But you can't, man.
There was times he would literally do anything not to have to prospect.
Oh, hey. Anybody who's ever done it has done that. Anybody who's ever done
yeah, I need a dry erase board before I can press.
I gotta run to Office Depot.
I need that.
Dude, I'm going to donate blood today.
Yeah. Well, I hope the internet don't work. I hope the internet don't work today or whatever.
But
the thing is, Jen got me all that stuff, man.
That's what it takes. That's
next day, big bow on, dry erase board. Heads. I'm like, I remember back in the day, I needed to record my conversation. And it was like a cassette tape I had to connect to my phone.
Yep.
She got that. I'm like, oh man.
You're running out of excuses. She wasn't giving you any.
Knock down all the barriers.
I think that's a great lesson for everybody, right? You're working with your significant other, right? You gotta work together. You gotta compliment. You gotta, that's a subtle way of not putting up with Matt's shit right there. That's dry erase board. Okay, I got you. Okay, you got that. Oh, I got you. Right. So it's not allowing any excuses, and you've got to have somebody. I mean, that's the highest form of a love is accountability, and just having that and really pushing each other to be better each and every day, man. That's all you can really ask for.
Right, keep that why in focus at all times.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have the same problem, whatever your problem is, Jen is Matt's problem, and vice versa. So it's the same problem, and sometimes we try to put that separation, and it's your problems, and then I'm going to get on you about your problems, and it's the same problem in your case. Y'all are sharing the same problem, so you work together to find a solution. Yeah, it's the Freda effect.
We're past all that. You're past that.
Yeah. Well, most days,
Yeah.
So kitchens, anything else? I mean, I think I love this interview. I mean, I think you guys really shared a lot and just kind of opened up your heart a little bit and shared more of your passion than the business, and that's really what's magical.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think that's why our number one core value is just the growth aspect, and we really want to push not push that agenda on folks, but really open them up to the possibility of what happens if you focus on getting better each and every day. Where does that take not only your business, but I think it has to start with you personally before your business can grow. You have to grow, because I mean, what good I remember, the best year that we ever had in Lawton, 531 transactions, number 2 in the world. And it was the most miserable year of Jay's life.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. And it wasn't fun to be around, man. He just wasn't enjoyable. And so when he started really focusing on growing and getting better, then everything just got better around him. And that carries over to kids, teams, team members, just everything. And I think that's why we're so passionate about personal growth, getting better each and every day. And, just really trying to be the best version of ourselves. And that's really all we're competing with, right? We're competing with ourselves from yesterday, and we're just trying to beat that person. So no, kudos. I mean, you guys are amazing. I look forward to every time we get to talk and just hearing how you guys are progressing and navigating and really, moving closer and living the life that you want to live.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you. I mean, obviously you've been with us a long time and putting up with us, or more so me.
Yeah,
it's been invaluable to us, and just always being there, keeping us on track, reminding us where we need to focus our time and our energy, and it's, like I said, invaluable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for spending the time and sharing with us. And I know you guys have been coaching with Kitchens now for, I think, 5 years or maybe longer. And Kitchens, if anybody's interested in talking to us about or learning more about the coaching program, where can they go to check more out?
The best place to go to get, just a really good glimpse at what it is that we do. I mean, it's a testament here from Matt and Jen, and that's our thing, right? Is we want to change your life. We really want to impact you in all equities. But you can head over to kinderreescoaching.com, man. There's a webinar we put together there. It's about an hour long. It's worth watching all the way through. I can tell you that, and get an idea of kind of what we can do to help transform your business and transform your life. And then, if you want to schedule a call, just click on, there's some buttons over there, Jeff, somewhere that they can click on and schedule a clarity call, get a little more information about us and how we can, possibly, be a good fit, and how we can help you grow.
Awesome. So kinderreescoaching.com, everybody, for more info on that. And Matthew and Jennifer, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.
All right. We'll sign off. See you guys next time.
Hey, guys.
Take care.
Bye.